What's happening, everybody? Happy Friday. Yeah, that's right, Friday, and welcome to the Dynasty WarZone, the People's Dynasty podcast. And on this show, a bonus show, kind of a not bonus show, we're going to do an ADP hot check, heat check, if you will, and some Dynasty Would You Rather. And I'll tell you who I would always rather do a podcast with. It is my co host, it is Mr. Gerald Sinclair. Jerry, what's up, man? How are you?
Nothing. I am good, man. It is gorgeous weather up here in the Great White North. Just going to talk some football with my dearest best pal. Scott Fishbowl's sort of getting underway. We got our divisions. I am in the Earth, Wind, and Fire. I would sing September for you, but ain't nobody on the damn planet want to hear that. I am picking from the 12 spot. Not a spot I usually like, but he's doing the third round reversal. So I will be getting the first pick of the third round. Sort of excited for that, so I thought I'd switch it up, man.
Yeah, I am in the Kanye West division. You know, you've made it as a star when you have one name. So my division is simply Kanye, Yeezy, if you will. And someone asked me how the hell I wound up in the Kanye West division. Yes. My son, who is 13, will be 14 in August. That is his favorite performer. So I did not make the Metallica division, which is fine. Last year I asked for G.I. Joe in the toy division. I got that. So the fact that I didn't get Metallica was totally cool. I did get the 6th spot, so the third round reversal means nothing to me.
No.
Nothing. That's where I like drafting. I like in the middle. Stuck in the middle with you, Jerry.
And should have done Steelers wheel, man.
I am looking forward to the Scott Fish Bowl. We'll break that down once we get into the draft and some scoring, and once everything rolls out officially. I just want to thank everybody real quick for 5-star reviews. So we're up to 214 on Apple, which puts us in the top 5 to 8 in reviewed podcasts from a Dynasty standpoint on Apple. Not too, Jerry. I see you smile.
I'll take it.
Never once in my life have I been enthused about being 5th to 8th in anything. I want to be number 1. Now, we got a long road to go to catch those boys over at the Dynasty Nerds, but we'd sure love it if you hit pause on this podcast and left us a 5-star review. I do want to read a couple real quick, and I know this first guy. It says, I can't rate the Dynasty WarZone high enough. They have the latest news and how it will affect your teams, startups, rookie drafts, trading, player values, strategies. You name it, the DWZ has got it covered. And that is from Darren Fitzpatrick from good old Great Britain. You believe that? Good old British people love Dynasty Fantasy Football. And I love British people. And I love Darren. He wrote a review, Jerry.
Yeah, it's because he's an angel. He's a real sweetheart. That's his thing.
He is what my father would have called good people. You're good people, Darren Fitzpatrick. And the second one comes from the Jimmy Kemp. That's right. It's like this is the People's Dynasty podcast. This is the Jimmy Kemp via Apple Podcast. He says, love listening to the WarZone. Great content. Gives great advice when looking into the future of your team. Jimmy, thank you so much, man. It means a ton to Jerry and I when you guys take a couple of minutes to rate and review the show. And YouTube, if you're watching live on Jerry, we're back on the YouTubes.
Listen, we are just two handsome sons of bitches. It's really not a surprise. It's really a benefit to all to watch us on YouTube. Said no one ever.
It's definitely not a fashion shoot. Now, you do have on that sweet, sweet DWZ hat from our friends over at Viridian Global. We did send them some new JPEG, whatever the hell it is that those people use to make shirts. They got some new ones from us, so you have some new merch over at Viridian soon. But YouTube, if you want to see what Jerry and I look like, the graphics made by my man G of the Aussie Guys, at Aussie Guys NFL on Twitter. And the YouTube show is going to be where all the action is this fall. We're going to do the Sunday football shit show. We're going to be doing gambling, DFS. We're going to have Lou. It's going to be everything. So head over to YouTube, subscribe. You won't miss a thing. So, Jerry, let's jump into this, man. I'm going to keep the intro short. I'll work some of the ad spots in the middle instead of going hammer at the beginning of the show. So let's get into this. So, a good friend of the show, Mr. Ryan McDowell, was on, a couple weeks ago?
Yep.
All right, yeah, just a couple weeks ago, we had Ryan McDowell of the DLF on. And I will say there is no service in this industry. It's like a Band-Aid. You know, like Band-Aid's not actually like a thing. No matter what brand it is, you always say, hey, go get me a Band-Aid,
It's true.
Kleenex. Some parts of the country, they say, go get me a Coke. They may actually want a Pepsi or any soda would do, but sometimes your brand gets so good and so known for something. And when I think of startup ADP, I think of the DLF, Jerry.
Yeah. I
I mean,
mean,
other people do it, but they don't do it as well.
you know what's crazy about the Band-Aid thing? Just real quick. I actually
Sure.
had no idea that was a brand. I legitimately thought they were just a thing. I'd found that out a couple weeks ago. I about crapped myself. But yeah, I mean, that's what the DLF is to this. I mean, listen, there's a reason we bring on Ryan McDowell because he's a giant. He's a
Well,
legend. He's a bad MFer. So, and they have unbelievable stuff, top to bottom, left to right, man.
great articles, great rankings. I mean, everything. So, much like when I think of trade calculators, there is but one, the
Yep.
Dynasty trade calculator. Izzy and JP, the boys at the DTC. But we're going to use some June DLF ADP, and I am going to grill Jerry like a tuna. So what I'm going to do is I am going to ask him a question, and we kept these by position groups because not everybody plays super flex, not everybody plays one QB. Some people play a mixture, so I tried to keep it within their respective player positions. Now
Okay.
Jerry did not have access to which players I was going to give him. And if he cheats, I will break his thumbs. And what I'm going to tell you is I'm going to give Jerry two players. I'm going to ask him who does he think the DLF has ranked higher per their mock draft ADP. And then Jerry's going to tell me which of the two he prefers. Now we're going to keep this because we're going to try to get through 10. We're going to keep this a little bit of a shorter show. Jerry, I'm going to ask you two players. You're going to tell me who you think is ranked higher. And then you'll tell me who you would prefer on your dynasty roster. Are you ready?
I think so.
All right. First two players, first couple of players. We have Josh Allen and we have Lamar Jackson. Jerry, who is ranked higher and who would you rather?
Josh Allen is definitely ranked higher. I wouldn't be surprised if he was like 103. Um, I don't know. I'm sort of in on both of these guys, like in that spot. Like I prefer
No waffling,
Daco.
Jerry. No waffling. You're in or out. You can't get half pregnant. Come on.
I don't think you're gonna like it. I think I'm gonna take Lamar Jackson just because he's got that 1,000 yard rushing floor.
Okay. Well. First of all, Lamar is ranked higher in.
Shut up.
This is true story. Lamar is the QB2 per our friends at the DLF. Josh Allen, number 3. So when you said he was the third overall quarterback, you nailed that part.
I didn't realize Lamar would be that
They
high.
they
Though.
they do. They still have Lamar as QB, and you would prefer Lamar. You like the rushing floor.
Just by a hair, honestly. I would probably diversify though. If I was in that spot multiple times, I would take them both interchangeably. I have no real preference. I can sit here and listen to the argument for both.
All right. Well, my would you rather of the two is Josh Allen. First of all,
Shocker.
I've got to stay on brand. I have been on Josh Allen since he was a rookie, and Josh Allen has been a contributor to my fantasy lineups for a long time. Now, to be fair to both guys, both of these guys have a top 8 QB season under their belt. Josh Allen in 19 and Lamar last year. They both have a QB1 overall season under their belt. Allen last year, Lamar 2 years ago. So they're very even from a point standpoint. I'll just be honest. I have seen a new gear to Josh Allen's game that I have yet to see from Lamar. Now, in fairness, they've added Sammy Watkins. They've added Rashad Bateman. We laugh, but you laugh at. You laugh at Sammy Watkins, but how much more do you laugh at Willie Snead
Yeah,
and Miles Boykin?
listen. You're right. You're right. It is easy to laugh at him. It just,
And he's only like 27 years old. He'll be like 28 next month.
which is absurd.
Yeah, he feels like he's been around for 107 years. But so this is the make or break year for Lamar with me. If his passing game and his pass now, if he shows us that he can add, and I know you won't like this because we're here for fantasy points, but if he shows us he can add a little bit more to his passing game and maybe rushes for 900 yards, it may hurt you a little bit in 2021, but it shows you a much more sustainable path for the future. Because if he cannot, now his completion percentage is fine. It's his overall passing yards. So because that's the path to sustainability for Lamar Jackson. Because eventually the running trick does it. The injury's going to catch up. Something's going to catch up to him. So that's why I want to see a little bit more of a passing floor. And that was the thing that Josh Allen added so boldly last year. But what did he get? He got he got Stephon Diggs. He got Gabriel Davis. He got Cole Beasley. So he's got so now it's Lamar's turn. So Lamar could certainly be in this conversation a year from now for me next year, but right now today, as we're talking about, I got to say Josh Allen. Both of these guys are in my must get in the first round of a Superflex startup.
I agree with you. I think mine is just I have seen and I know what Lamar Jackson is getting. I don't necessarily know if Josh Allen just exploded out of his mind. Because, I mean, if you look, I'm going to use Matthew Stafford because I'm a Lions fan. In 2011, the dude threw for 40-some touchdowns with Calvin Johnson, and then you never saw that again in year 3. This could very well be a Josh Allen thing, but, he's also got the rushing floor. He's got that Konami code thing, and he does have a better wide receiver in Stephon Diggs, who is just an absolute animal. And Josh Allen's good. Like, I don't know if he is going to sustain where he is at overall. I do know that Lamar Jackson is going to always be one of the best athletes in the NFL, and he will always be able to get you rushing touchdowns, but it's so close. Like when I say I have no preference and I'm interchangeable with them, I absolutely 100% mean it. These are both guys that you can build a foundation around and be pretty damn happy about it.
It's tomato. Pick your poison because they're very, very close for me as well. And I don't want to go down a rabbit hole with Jalen Hurts, but this is why it drives me crazy when people want to compare Jalen Hurts to Lamar Jackson. There's not another Lamar Jackson. He's not a Lamar Jackson quality athlete. He's a runner, but he's nowhere near the quality of a Lamar Jackson thrower or runner. So he's like bargain basement Lamar Jackson if you're lucky. There's my Jalen Rant's typical rant of the day. So next two, you ready? Couple of rookies. Justin Fields, Chicago Bears, or Trey Lance of the San Francisco 49ers. Jerry, who do you think is ranked higher? And who would you rather have of the two?
The hype has always been on Jay Fields. But I feel like that spot and where I have seen the man getting drafted, so I haven't seen what DLF does. And, maybe I live in a bubble of Trey Lance, but I'm going to say Trey Lance for both. For me personally, it's Trey Lance pretty easily. You get Kyle Shanahan, you get a good offense, you get all the weapons you want versus Matt Nagy and the Bears, which, maybe they just needed a quarterback that's dynamic to change it around and make that system prolific. But hope in one hand and crap in the other and let me know which one fills up faster. I bet it's the crap. So I don't know about Justin Fields sort of exploding like that. So I am going to say Trey Lance. I think Trey Lance is the answer. I'm going to guess it's by a hair, but this one I would be a lot less surprised than I was last time.
Well, there must be a lot of people contributing from Chicago because it is Justin Fields. He is the QB 10 per DLF startup. Trey Lance is the QB 12. So, Jerry, if you haven't figured it out, these guys are going to be very close, so I'm not going to make it super easy for you. I'm not going to say, Jerry, Justin Fields or Jared Goff. No, it's not going to be that simple. I'm with you. For me, this is Trey Lance all the way. And I'll be honest, it's not particularly close. I traded good friend of ours in the big league you and I joined with some of our buddies, including Dan Williamson. I traded Dan, so he had the 102, I had the 103. This is Superflex, tight end premium, blah, blah, blah. I had the 103 because I drafted the 103 in the startup. Dan had the 102. He took Justin Fields. I gave him the 103 and my 22 second to move up for Trey Lance. Now, I live in a world where both of these guys could be absolute studs, but remember, there were five QBs taken in the first round. And at least two of them are probably going to be a flop. Maybe one of them is a superstar, more than likely. The odds, the predictive number would say that the superstar is going to be Trevor Lawrence. And then two of the others are going to be good to serviceable, maybe even really good. And then maybe two are going to flop. So I know I live in a world where that could happen to both of these guys. But forgive me if I have more faith in Kyle Shanahan and that coaching staff to develop a young quarterback better than Matt Nagy and the Bears. That comes down to it too.
Yeah, I'm with you. To Dan's credit, because he made that trade, like I wouldn't be shocked if Justin Fields is better too, because Justin Fields looked like a bad man. When
I live in a world where this could happen, Jerry. This could
exactly
totally be the thing.
This is the thing. Yeah, you don't want to live in a world of absolutes, especially in this game, because you're never going to be right if you do. I can see it. I prefer Trey Lance in that situation. And we were on this show doing this very podcast 6 weeks ago, and I was telling you that I thought Trey Lance was one of those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys to bust. And yet here I am, and he's easily my QB2. Not even close. I am not going to be a hot takey guy and say that anybody's above Trevor Lawrence. I mean, if you see the dude for as long as we've seen him, which is, his whole career, everybody's seen him since then, he's the one. Trey Lance has jumped into the 2. It's just such a conducive situation. It's so hard to just not see somebody that's dynamic, rushing the ball, throwing the ball, and it's a good system. It's a system that has made, mediocre and decent quarterbacks look great. Jimmy Garoppolo was a quarterback in the Super Bowl. What am I going to think with a guy who can run for 700 yards too is going to do?
Funky Kyle Shanahan stat. Since he's been at like the 2 times, like I forget the way the exact stat was worded, but the last 2 times his quarterback played all 16 games, he went to the Super Bowl. It was Matt Ryan. It was Jimmy Garoppolo. So, obviously Jimmy G misses a lot of time, but he's very good with quarterbacks. And I am not comparing Mitch Trubisky to Justin Fields. That's not what I'm doing. That's not what I'm doing at all. But what I'm saying is I watched Matt Nagy mismanage Mitch Trubisky in every way possible. Psychologically, not running him as much as he should, and not scheming the offense to what Mitch can do, because that's why Lamar's successful. Lamar has limitations to his game. Josh Allen, as much as we love him, has limitations to his game. But when you see those offensive coordinators and those GMs sculpt the organization and the offense around what are extremely talented but somewhat limited quarterbacks, they have their limitations. They all do. That's why the coaches make 7-8 figures. But that's why I just trust Kyle Shanahan more than I trust Matt Nagy. That's as you call them, bozos. So bozo. So Jerry, this next one's for me, but I'm going to let it be for you. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right.
So Derek Carr of the Las Vegas Raiders, or my man Sam Darnold, who is rated higher per the good folks at DLF, and who would you rather have?
I think Derek Carr is rated higher because I feel like people hate Sam Darnold, and I am so easily in the Sam Darnold camp that it is not even funny.
Well, you are right on both cases. At least you're right about the ADP. Derek Carr is 27. Sam Darnold is 28. Here's the thing. I kind of know what I'm getting with Derek Carr. I'm going to get a solid dude who's probably going to be QB. If he stays healthy and plays all 17 games now, he's going to be QB, QB 10 to 15? With some really good weeks mixed in there and a couple of stinkers too.
Yep.
But the upside of Sam Darnold, if is a big word. If your aunt had balls, she'd be your uncle.
True.
So if is a big word. But I think if I want the floor play, not to be confused with foreplay, but if you want the floor play, then you go with Derek Carr. If you want to take a big swing from your shoes, you want to go Vlad Guerrero Jr., you want to go Fernando Tatis, big swing, then you go Sam Darnold. Because more than likely, both of these guys are your QB3 on your team, and I don't need a safe floor guy as my QB3. I need a guy that has upside, that I can do something with as my QB. That's how I look at it. That's why I like Sam Darnold. He's my QB3 in a lot of rosters. And if he's a bum, if he busts, if he never takes a step forward, cool. But if he does next year, I can move him in a lot of spots as a 24-year-old coming off of a career year, and I can cash out at a little bit of a payoff. So that's some of the reasons why I like Sam Darnold, on top of the fact that I just like Sam Darnold, Jerry.
And that's the thing about, like you said, you know what you're getting with Derek Carr, right? And you know what you're getting in trades? Nothing. Because, we're Derek Carr people. in most of our leagues, we are the person that has
I
Derek Carr
traded for him in another league, a must-start 2 quarterback.
exactly, because we can get him for cheap because we sort of like him. The problem is people like us are the only people that like him. So if you decide to get rid of him, they're going to offer you a wet sock, and you're going to go, well, I'll just hold on to Derek Carr then, and he'll be my QB3, and that's fine. He's like a sugar cookie, Randy. Like, the ones in the little see-through plastic containers that are way too loud and they could wake the dead when you open them up. That's what he is. Like, they're pretty good. Like, you eat it and you're like, okay, that's good. Sam Darnold's like just an awesome smelling chocolate chip cookie that's in the oven. Like, you don't know what you're getting yet, but it smells good. Like, it's young and it's got potential to be just a wonderful cookie. We just need to see, we need to see the man get built. We need to see the cookie come out. We need to eat it, and it needs to be scrumptious and wonderful. We don't know if it's going to be like that yet. I am excited for him. I like him. I like that. I like that. I like their spot. That's what I'm saying. My man can grow. He's not sexy. God, no. And he's super, super available in trades because so many people hate him. I mean, we're talking about Derek Carr, is he like 30? He's got to be close to 30, right?
Give or take. I think he was the class right after Andrew Luck, or maybe right before. So he's got to be 30, give or take. So
we got a aging vanilla, sugar cookie, and that's who we're going to take over somebody that's young in a good, he's got good pieces all around him. He's got a young, exciting offensive coordinator. Like, he's got a nice coach. Like,
it's
I would just prefer that so much more.
It's the Peter Griffin and the boat thing.
Yeah.
It's like you've got Derek Carr or you got the mystery box that is Sam Darnold. And Sam Darnold could be anything, even a guy who's going to be a routine quarterback 9 through 15 like Derek Carr already is. But I just can't help it. I like Sam Darnold. I like the fact that he's younger. And if he hits big in this offense, I think the cash out's bigger. They could literally both literally put up the same 320 fantasy points this year as a quarterback in your standard ESPN scoring. And I have news for you. If he does it, I'm going to get a lot more for Sam Darnold this time next year in trade value than I ever would in a bajillion, million, cotillion years. So, Jerry, what we're going to do is I'm going to give you a break. I'm going to let you freshen up your mind. We're going to talk about the Patreon. Dude, we have been having a ton of fun in the Patreon. The Australians, our buddy Pat. So this is like the Patreon. We know that Pat has no power for the next 3 weeks. Windstorm. So we're keeping him entertained. All of his patron mates are keeping him entertained. He is asking a lot of questions. Pat's a great patron, as are all the dozens and dozens of patrons over at Dynasty, WarZone, patreon.com/Dynasty WarZone. Jerry, what's your favorite of the patron? As a person who's in there regularly, what's your favorite part?
I think it's the shenanigans. I don't even think it's the fantasy football. I think it's just the nonsense that happens. But we bring up the Australians a lot, and we have quite a few. But it's because they're all nuts. So that's why we have to bring them up every
passionate.
Time. Yes, very passionate.
That's the word I would use, passionate.
But I've said it once on this podcast. I'll say it 100 more times. Whenever you get into a dynasty league, it's like jumping into a black hole. Like, you just get sucked in. They are sucked in, and they are always interactive. And they just got their shipment of DWZ gear from Viridian Global sent because
How awesome was that?
It's honestly, Randy, like, I can't fathom, because I just see you. Like, I'm just looking at your mug right now.
I'm sorry about that.
And it's fine.
I apologize in advance.
I just, I would sit here, and if it was just me and you, I'd still be talking here. But to know that somebody across the globe is wearing that is just unfathomable.
It's surreal.
It's unbelievable.
It really
is.
Is.
Like Stefan, he's in Iceland. So I think about, him listening to this podcast while he's driving around, Reykjavik or any other. Sorry, I don't speak
Reykjavik.
Iceland.
I think it's Reykjavik.
Yeah, I don't speak Icelandic. I am sort of
swine.
learning Old Norse, but it's rough. It's a learning curve for sure.
Anyway, we're gonna keep the show moving, but the Patreon, you'll never feel out of place. One of our other sponsors, Hate Brand Goods, they have a T-shirt that says "Weirdos Welcome," and what that means is that everybody's welcome. You don't feel weird when you're around similar-minded people, and that's our Patreon. You never feel like the person who loves fantasy football too much, because there's about 100 people in there who love fantasy football as much, if not more, than you. And if you don't believe me, come hang out for a month. What they used to call it back in the day, take the Pepsi challenge. They put a blindfold on you. They give you 2 sips of soda, and you'd pick one. Take the Pepsi. Come take the patron challenge. Check it out, patreon.com/Dynasty WarZone. Come meet a bunch of good people, get in some leagues, have some fun, tell some stories. And on top of that, you get extra podcasts. You get, roster advice with me, Jerry, when he's not too busy out ruling the world, and all kinds of good stuff over at patreon.com/Dynasty Warzone. All right, Jerry, let's get back into this. A little bit back into this, Dynasty heat check, ADP heat check from our friends, DLF. All right, running backs, are you ready?
Okay, shoot.
I'm going to hit close to home for you. So Mr. DeAndre Swift or Nick Chubb, who went higher in DLF ADP month of June? And who would you rather?
This one's tough because I feel like Nick Chubb is one of the elite talents. My man just doesn't catch the ball enough. And he's got Kareem Hunt in there. And Kareem Hunt is one of the other elite talents in the league. I think the answer is Swift for both. Nick Chubb's 25. That's sort of the spot that I don't like. What's the thing that, people always say? You got to get rid of your running backs before their second contract because that's when the value starts to dip. The problem is once they've gotten that second contract, you're too late. So I think I would take Swift. The Lions were absolutely piss poor last year, and he still got, not even a ton of the rushing work, still was a good fantasy running back. He's a good pass catcher. Jamal Williams is there, and Jamal Williams can catch passes. Don't get me wrong. But I really think Swift is going to grow, and I really, really believe the Detroit Lions have a good offensive line. I don't necessarily believe in the team being successful, but I do think that offensive line is good. I think it is going to be good for DeAndre Swift, and he's younger, and he's more versatile. I don't think he's as elite of a running back, but I don't think that matters when we're talking about fantasy points every week as opposed to which is the better NFL running back.
See, I believe that in a vacuum, I believe Nick Chubb is the better running back.
Agreed.
If the situation was the same and they both played 8 games with the same quarterback behind the same offensive line, they got the same number of targets, the same number of rush attempts, I think Nick Chubb is the superior football player. But here's the deal. You're right. He is paired up with a guy in Kareem Hunt who just signed a contract extension. And here's like some of the mystery box that is Nick Chubb. He's on the final year of his deal, and Cleveland is not going to have a ton of money to be able to resign people, especially if they have to figure out a long-term deal with Baker. Now, normally when you do a long-term deal, it'll free up some bucks, and maybe they can re-sign Nick Chubb. But Nick Chubb's probably going to want Dalvin Cook money, Joe Mixon money, Kamara money. What is it, like $12, $13 million, $14 million a year? And that's a good chunk of coin. And they're going to figure out Denzel Ward, Baker, as well as a bunch of other dudes. So why I like DeAndre Swift is Jared Goff is not the most athletic quarterback. And we know DeAndre Swift is going to get a lot of targets. So for every rush attempt that Nick Chubb gets, if DeAndre Swift gets 1 target, Nick Chubb has to get basically almost 3 rushes. It's more like 2 to 5. So for every 2 targets Swift gets, Chubb has to make that up with 3 rushes. Not that Chubb won't get some targets along the way, but that's also the thing.
But I mean, not a ton. I mean, he played and started 12 games last year. He had 16 catches.
So what? 1.25 a game?
Yeah.
Not a lot, bro. And we know the Lions are going to be bad. You know it. I know it. Everyone in the state of Michigan knows it.
Yep.
So we know there's going to be a lot of checkdowns. You just imagine these games. It's the end of the game. This is not a far-fetched scenario to think. It's the end of the game. The Lions are down 31-13. They refuse to run the clock out because with Coach Dan Campbell, we bite kneecaps.
That's right.
We take kneecaps all the way off in Detroit. And what do? They get a bunch of junk yards, a bunch of junk. You know what? I'm Jared Goff. I drop back. I look. Quintez Cephas is open because he can't get open because he fucking sucks. and he looks at, Terrell Williams is hurt, so he's limping across the field. TJ Hawkinson's triple covered, so I'll just check this fucking thing down to DeAndre Swift. He might have I could literally see drives this year where DeAndre Swift has like 5 catches for 30 yards at the end of the game. Just like an 8-point PPR, full PPR swing.
Just for no reason. I
Just
could
for no
see it.
fucking reason at all. Just for, and I'll be playing him that week too, probably in the
Yeah,
Scott Fish Bowl.
of course.
But so we're on the same page.
Yeah.
The targets, the offense, and the way that everything should be working in Swift's favor, and his age, the fact that he doesn't have the major injury like the knee that Chubb has. Even though they're close, and I do love Nick Chubb, I would have to go DeAndre Swift is there. Now, I'm not going to have any more fights about Joe Mixon. I'm over fighting about Joe Mixon. This motherfucker's been in the league for 30 years, or at least 5. And I know he's 24 years old. But Joe Mixon or Austin Eckler, who
Okay.
is higher in DLF ADP, and who would you rather?
Well, let's have a fight about Joe Mixon, buddy. Because I think Joe Mixon is higher, and I think I would prefer Joe Mixon.
Oh,
And
it's
it
cool. It's cool. You're wrong twice.
is it really? Eckler's ahead of him.
It's 18 and 19 per DLF.
still,
June's.
okay.
It's very close.
I'm not mad at it. I am very surprised though. I feel like Austin Eckler is one of the people that like people don't just put in that tier. Like everybody likes him. Everyone's like, they're super happy that they have Austin Eckler, usually because he's their RB2. And he just outperforms it. But I would have definitely guessed that Joe Mixon was up there just because, people love Joe Mixon. People have always loved Joe Mixon. As a person that has hated on Joe Mixon for a long time, I sort of like him now. He's under contract for like 3 or 4 more years, which is something that, is not prevalent across the league. So I do think he is a decent asset to own. If you are relying on him to win your league, I don't have to tell you that that's wrong. But, you figured that out in your 4 years of owning him. Listen, a 5th-year breakout. Randy, I saw you arguing on Twitter either today or yesterday or whenever that was.
I broke the code. I said no more arguing with strangers on Twitter, and I let him suck me in. I like Joe Mixon, but here's the thing. It goes right back to the Nick Chubb thing. And a little bit of a twist. I know they got rid of Giovanni Bernard, and I have no idea who they're going to cycle in as a third down back. Are they going to involve Joe Mixon more in the passing game? But you know what? These guys are only 14 months apart in age. Joe Mixon.
That's something too, though.
Eckler just turned 26 in May, and Joe Mixon turns 25 in July. So they're about 14 months apart in age. So they're not super far apart in age. I'm just getting the better offense. I'm the offensive line in Cincinnati got better. I think their situations are very comparable. But here's the thing. I know Austin Eckler is going to be involved in the passing game. You hope Joe Mixon is going to be involved in it. That's the difference. That's the big difference. That, and I truly believe that Zach Taylor, if he's not the worst head coach in the NFL, and I know a lot of people hate coaching narratives, if he's not the worst head coach in the NFL, he's in the top 3 worst head coaches in the NFL. And I don't think it's by a far margin. The fact that he has never, because we know what Joe Mixon can do. This is not an anti-Joe Mixon take. This
Right.
is the fact that guy's been there. He's been Joe Mixon's head coach for 21 games, and he has failed to show me he knows how to use a microwave, let alone knows how to use Joe Mixon. So for me, I'm going to gamble on the guy that I know is involved in the passing game, even though I said the other day to sell Austin Eckler. Now, if I can sell Austin Eckler for Joe Mixon plus, different conversation. But for me, these two are very close. I think this ranking of 18 and 19 is fair. I'm going to lean toward the known pass catcher, Jerry.
I think that's fair. I think this is sort of like the Nick Chubb Swift thing. Like I think Joe Mixon is probably a better talent. I don't entirely know. I think this is closer.
Without question. I mean, Joe Mixon was a high to mid second round pick in 2017. Had he not had the issue as a freshman that got caught on camera, I think he was easily a first round talent coming out. Again, this is not an anti-Joe Mixon. I watched Marvin Lewis mismanage him. I've watched Zach Taylor mismanage him. It's not his fault. I like him. But remember, part of this is when it's the Matt Nagy conversation all over again. I've seen the mismanagement of talent. Again, For those listening at home, I'm not comparing Mitch Trubisky to Justin Fields and their talent. He just mismanaged what he could do, and that's what I've seen out of this coaching staff. I have no faith that they know how to use Joe Mixon in Cincinnati. They could surprise me. I've been wrong before.
Right. And I mean, I don't think Anthony Lynn was some mastermind of a coach either. So I think they probably got better in LA too. And if there's one thing we learned, it's that Justin Herbert does know how to use a microwave, and he definitely knows how to use Austin Eckler, because that dude
And I
had
love his head coach. I love his head coach today. I may hate him next week, but
I mean, oh yeah, but listen, winning changes everything. But I mean, Justin Herbert targeted this man like, what was it? I thought it was
he had
15,
like a leg,
16,
an
11 catch, 16 target, 11 catch game, and that was his first game back from injury. Randy, like, are you kidding me? This man missed like a month and a half, and he came back, and you targeted him 16 times. I get it. I get it. I just prefer Joe just because maybe it's hope. Maybe it's because I'm an idiot. It could be because I'm a dope, Randy. I mean, I've been known to do some stupid stuff in this game.
yeah, I'm with you. So there are two running back sets. I got one more running back sets.
Okay, well, Cam Akers is higher than whoever you're going to pick.
No. We
Okay.
did that the other night that's why we're doing Thursday. I jumped on the open bar with J Mike and Bun, FF Man Bun, and that was one that we did the Cam Akers versus the world. I was a clean sweep on Cam Akers. I have Cam Akers ridiculously high in my startup rankings. But anyway, Michael Carter, New York Jets, rookie running back, the RB 30. Oh, shoot. The RB 30 something. Or
Nice.
Myles Gasket, also the RB 30 something. Who do you think went higher in DLF ADP, Carter or Gaskin? And who would Jerry rather have? Now, this is the last running back set, Jerry.
Jerry would probably rather not have either of these fine young gentlemen.
Well,
but
this is where the value is.
I know.
This is how we help these people, dude.
I know. Listen, if I'm going to help them, I'm going to say avoid running backs in this tier, because you're going to only get some production for 1 year out of them. But if you're going to put a gun to my head, I think Michael Carter is going to be ahead of him because he's a rookie and he's got all the hype. And I think everybody sort of believes all the rookies in New York are going to be all of the top assets there. It's going to be the quarterback, the wide receiver, and the running back that are rookies that are going to lead the world of the New York Jets out of obscurity.
Okay, so Carter you think is higher, and then who would you rather have?
I don't really like either of them. I think I would just take Myles Gaskin. I've seen it in the league. I think that offense is going to be a little bit better, but I don't feel good about it either way. I will have few shares of either of these guys.
Fair.
I don't know what your take is on either of them, but I don't have anything that's super polarizing.
See, Jerry, this is the one benefit where doing the work and writing the show sheet really comes in handy, because I get to pick these guys and I've already thought through my answer. Actually, Myles Gaskin is the RB 33 to Michael Carter's RB 35. So they're very close. So here's the thing. For me, I get to cheat because, again, I wrote the show sheet and I go last. If I'm a contender this year, I want Myles Gaskin. I've seen him perform. I think the offense takes a step forward. They improve the offensive line. But if I am not a legit contender, then I will take Michael Carter, because he was drafted by this regime. And I know to some people that doesn't matter, some people it does. But not only was he drafted by Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh and Michael LaFleur, but he's competing with a bunch of nobodies. So if he does well, this could be his job for the next few years. Whereas Myles Gaskin, we all sweated him, just like we sweated James Robinson. Was he going to get supplanted in the draft? But if I'm a contender, I want the known production of what I've seen from Myles Gaskin in the NFL. But if I'm a contender or a non-contender, I would much rather take Michael Carter, because I feel like a year from now his value could be the same or going up, whereas I think Myles Gaskin, it will either be the same or going down, because there's going to be a lot of running backs next year, and the odds of him dodging a running back of significant draft capital 2 years in a row makes me nervous.
Yeah, I guess that's probably true. I'm just sort of the belief that neither of these guys are going to be extremely valuable. But Michael Carter does have the better chance to ascend. So I'm with you on that. And I mean, he was successful at North Carolina. The problem is everyone got their pants all tight for Javonte Williams, and they forget that, my man Michael Carter could catch the ball. And he ran for, I don't know, well over 1,000 yards. I think it was 1,100 or 1,200 yards or something.
While splitting the backfield with another highly drafted running back.
So, I mean, is Javonte Williams better than the competition that he will have in New York? I would say almost certainly.
Guaranteed.
So is he likely to take
Ty Johnson? Fuck out of here.
Get the F out of here. I mean, so is he likely to emerge? Yeah, probably. I think I'm switching my answer. I think you convinced me. Excellent work, sir. I'm going to take Michael Carter. I don't necessarily believe in him long term, but I do think he has a better chance to ascend, which therefore makes him a better dynasty asset. Myles Gaskin he won't even be the sugar cookie. Like, there's no chance you're going to accidentally find a chocolate chip in there. He's not something that's sexy. He doesn't have the draft capital. Some Devy people loved him, but it took a little bit for him to get going. He wasn't all that great. Miami is definitely open to having a running back. I mean, hell, for all we know, they could sign Todd Gurley or Le'Veon Bell this offseason and Myles Gaskin's value takes a hit because he's not a supreme talent, and those guys would actually threaten him a little bit. So I'm with you. I switched. You got me. Good job.
All right, good, because I like this. This next one, so we're going to switch to wide receivers. Again, going to keep this show fairly small, so we're not going to spend a long time. Hate Brand Goods. You guys know I'll put the commercial from Matt at the end of the show. As we're doing this live on Thursday night, they had 3 new colorways of the goat shorts come out. I think these would make great swim trunks, but you got to go to the HVIII.com. Get them ordered, promo code Memphis at checkout, and make sure you're following them on Instagram. They have great bags. They're super high quality, and they can be a little pricey. Now, if you use promo code Memphis, it'll make them a little less pricey. But last weekend, they ran a flash sale. They were 50% off the bags, and the promo code still worked. So make sure you're following them. Make sure that when you use something or you do something, if you purchase anything, use promo code Memphis. So, all right, Jerry, shorter commercials. Let's get this thing back on the tracks. I got 3 more for you.
Okay.
3 more. These are all pass catchers. Are you ready?
Yep.
All right. Last year's, I believe he was the wide receiver 1, depending on your scoring format. I believe in full PPR, he was the wide receiver 1. Mr. Stephon Diggs, we talked about him a little bit earlier. Or the highly touted rookie out of LSU, Mr. Jamar Chase. Who's rated higher? And who would you rather have?
I think Stephon Diggs is rated higher. I don't think that's close. I think this is probably you picked them, so I'm going to guess they actually are close, but I'm guessing it's on the further range of Randy's range. I'm guessing it's like 5 spots or something. The question is, what would I rather have? On a contender, it's obviously Stephon Diggs. That goes without saying. The question is if you are rebuilding, would I rather have it? And that's tough because age should not be, the sole determinant of what you're going to pick. I think I would rather have Stephon Diggs in more cases. I mean, we have the UPL league that we're in with a whole bunch of people, and my team is an absolute. I like to do the productive struggle. This is a full rebuild. I don't like to do more than 1 year rebuild. This is a more than a 1 year rebuild. In that case, I'll take Jamar Chase and I'll trade Stephon Diggs to a contender. But in most situations, I think Stephon Diggs is going to be so supremely productive that you're still going to have trade value even into his age 29 and 30 season. I would definitely at least sit on him for another year, and then we'll worry about it then. For all you know, it might be Stephon Diggs in a second for Jamar Chase in 2 years when you want to do this deal, even when he's 29 or 30, because he will be just so damn productive. So I think I'm going to do that. That way you don't have to risk him being Jamar Chase, being Justin Blackmon or Corey Davis or something, because that's a possibility. We said don't live in absolutes. This is still a prospect that has to learn the NFL game. He could put Justin Jefferson on the back burner at LSU all he wants. He's not at LSU anymore. He's not playing against college corners. He's in the NFL. He can fail. Kyle Pitts can fail. I know y'all don't want to hear it, but Kyle Pitts can fail too. So
Jerry,
I
you're going to
think
get us canceled with that shit. Knock
right.
it off.
I think I would like to
Don't speak of
reduce
our
the
Lord and Savior Kyle Pitts like that ever again.
I would like to reduce the risk and have Stephon Diggs keep the production, but still retain the trade value. And I think you will with Stephon Diggs. So Stephon Diggs is my answer for both. That was a little bit long of a rant, but I had to explain why. Randy, tell me what DLF says. Tell me what you think, because that, my friend, is what is actually important.
All right, man. Well, first of all, you were wrong. Jamar Chase is the wide receiver 8. Stephon Diggs is the wide receiver 9.
8?
8, and 9. Yeah. And these are things.
Startup.
Startup.
Dynasty. He's wide receiver 8.
That is affirmative.
You guys are higher than giraffe nuts.
This
higher goodness. Than 2. That's too risky. You're buying a $1 scratch off and you're trying to pay your rent with it. Don't do that.
But Jerry, the new hotness to this point, and it's a thing. Stephon Diggs is 27 years old. He'll be 28 in November. He's an eyelash away from being old and busted. That's just the way people's mind work. But I'm with you. If I'm a contender, I definitely want Stephon Diggs. And here's the deal. Even if I'm not a contender, I'm going to hang on to Stephon Diggs because here's also the deal. I believe we live in a world where Stephon Diggs is one of the best route runners in the NFL. He's got a great quarterback. He's got everything should go right back into place for Stephon Diggs. And even if you love Jamar Chase like family, he may get off to a slow start. He is a rookie. His quarterback's coming back from a major knee injury. So if you have Stephon Diggs and you want to go get Jamar Chase, just wait, because I have very, very little doubt that Stephon Diggs is going to get off to a hot start. And I think there'll be rookie moments of not poor play, but just rookie struggles. Justin Jefferson didn't take off at 1,000,000 miles an hour.
Higgins is still there too. He could blow up in a game. Joe Mixon could blow up in a game. I mean, it's possible.
And then, maybe 3 or 4 games in, then maybe I can trade Stephon Diggs and I can get Jamar Chase plus a little something back. And that's if you prefer him. So I could still get Jamar Chase if that's who you prefer, and I could get something on top. I like both guys a lot. I like both guys for different reasons. It really comes down to how you manipulate the structure of this. But in a vacuum, it really is. I hate to be that cheap way out. It really is contender Stephon Diggs. A year away, or the Jerry's productive struggle. If that's the case, then it's got to be Jamar Chase. All right, I got one more wide receiver set that I'm going to give you one tight end. You ready?
Yep.
Teammates. Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, we talked a couple of weeks ago. I do not worry about their quarterback.
I prefer Deontay Johnson. Deontay Johnson is ahead of Chase Claypool.
Sold him. Well, you were wrong. Chase Claypool is the wide receiver 26 per DLF, and Deontay Johnson, the wide receiver 29. I see you, Brew. I'm going to give you a minute. So this way, I'll just knock mine out quickly.
Okay, go ahead.
What am I always looking for? I'm looking for volume. I'm looking for value. Well, according to our homies at DLF, I'm getting value with Deontay Johnson, and I damn sure know he's getting the volume. He had 160 targets in like 14 games last year, and you know what? He may drop a handful of them. That's what he's going to do. But I'm going to chase that volume. I saw Chase Claypool stumble down the stretch. I don't think he'll ever be a volume play. I would much rather have Deontay Johnson as that high-end, super targeted wide receiver 2 type on a young team behind a Stephon Diggs. That type of a play. Knowing I'm going to get that volume, then opposed to have the boom bust of a Chase Claypool. He may win me a week, but there may be weeks where he kills me. So I feel much more comfortable in the range and the volume of Deontay Johnson. I'm going to take Deontay Johnson. Jerry, you seem shooketh to your core. You look mad. If you're watching live on YouTube, if you can't, go to about the 45, 48 minute mark and look at Jerry's face. He looks visibly pissed off. Maybe pissed off by, disappointed. Jerry, go ahead.
It is disappointing. Where did you say Chase Claypool was? Wide receiver 26 or something?
26 versus Deontay's 29. They're three wide receivers apart.
I don't hate that range so much. I'm fine with both of those guys being there. I just don't know how you have Chase Claypool ahead of him. If you think he's going to jump like he's DK Metcalf, I guess. I don't know how you watch them and you don't have Deontay Johnson better. Like, I know that he gets the drops. I mean, everybody talks about the mother effing drops every single time, which is fine. But you know how much I give a rat's ass about the drops? Ready? Here's his targets: 10, 11, 16, 13, 12, 7, 13, 14. So he could drop 5 of them and still end up with 7 catches. Chase Claypool, on the other hand, in that same range, 8, 9, 4, 6, 8, 6, 11. Like, listen, he was getting targeted. I think they're both going to see a little bit of a dip because I think they like to pass to the running backs, and I don't think they had that opportunity last year, and I think Najee Harris can take a little bit of it. I would rely on the guy who can get peppered, and here's the thing. Juju was there last year, and Deontay Johnson was still getting peppered. Chase Claypool, he is a nice piece. He is very much like a good version of what Devin Funchess was supposed to be. Like, he's just like a end zone target, and he can
Dorial Green Beckham. How about that
like
for a callback? Dorial Green Beckham.
Like what he was supposed to be. Like, you know, he is going to, you ready for it? Ready for it. He is an excellent best ball play because every once in a while he's going to catch 3 touchdowns like he did against Philly last year. I just don't want to rely on him. He's a nice piece to have. You know, every once in a while you throw him in, you get a nice high variance, you know, kind of guy. Deontay Johnson is just going to get peppered, and receptions get you points, and I am all about that. And he still got into the end zone 7 times. So even if he stays in that sort of same range, even if it drops to like 5 or something, he's still going to have like 90 catches, which is much preferred for a high-end wide receiver 3 for me, other than a guy that's, you know, going to get 50 or 60. And, you know, he might have a big week where he gets 3 touchdowns. And then like last year, he's going to end the season with 1 touchdown in the last 6 weeks. Like, that's just, I don't know. That's not my type of player. So maybe that's why I don't. But if you are a person that believes that he can grow into that DK Metcalf sort of big body, can do it all, sure, you know, take your shot. It's just not something I trust, not something I believe in, not something I am going to do. I am going to take Deontay Johnson.
All right, well, we're on the same page there. All right, let's go out on a big note. You know, I'm gonna go big. Let's go big. If you're gonna be a bear, if you're gonna be a bear, be a Kodiak. All right, here we go. Tight end position. We're gonna go. I'm gonna give them to you by age, and then you can guess. And the ADP part should be higher, but I'm gonna put you on a spot.
Okay.
TJ 23-year-old Hawkinson or 20-year-old Kyle Pitts, and go.
TJ Hawkinson. Not even close.
Well,
Kyle Pitts is ahead of him.
He's the 101 in a Superflex startup, I think, at this point. I think at this point he's unlocked greatness. He's going ahead of Patrick. No, I'm joking. That's a total joke. I would not put that evil on my friends at the DLF. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that I'm making a joke, the fact that Kyle Pitts' ADP has jumped the motherfucking shark, is all I'm saying. It's jumped the shark, Jerry.
I am damn near certain that he is ahead of him in ADP. Kyle Pitts is ahead of him.
Yeah, I said Shep. I tried to throw you a softball on the way out. TJ's tight end 6, which I find to be fascinating, and Pitts is 3, only behind Kittle and Kelsey.
Do you have the tight ends in front of you?
Come on, man. Yeah, they have Andrew.
All right, well, sorry, I'm not a pro. I'm not a pro like you, so I don't expect others to be a pro. Who we got? Who are the 5 ahead of him? Excuse me.
Kelsey, Kittle.
Okay, obvious. Yeah.
Pitts, Waller, Andrews, Hawkinson. You take that Andrews and get the hell out of here. He just got target competition in a low volume offense.
I mean, yeah, and that sucks. Like, I get he has to be up there because he's productive, but I'm with you. That's a risky Chase Claypool-esque play for me too. I don't know. I just like Calvin Ridley's there. You know, who is TJ Hawkinson really got to worry about?
DeAndre Swift and Amon-Ra St. Brown and something called a Cephas. A Cephas?
Yeah.
Cephas. I know the only good Cephas is Bo Cephas. That's Hank Williams Jr. For those that don't know, now you know. Hank Jr. is known as Bo Cephas. Anyway, I'm sorry, keep going.
Like, I mean, I know the Lions, you know, we got a downgrade at quarterback from Stafford to Goff. But, I mean, Goff made Tyler Higbee a monster in 5 games. Like, I'm not necessarily saying he's going to turn into that, but TJ Hawkinson grew a ton from year 1 to year 2. And not to say it's impossible. that, Kyle Pitts can't do that down the road, but we're not talking down the road. We're talking June 17th, 2021 here. I would prefer TJ Hawkinson. He's a young guy. And here's the thing, Randy, before let me get this out. This was Kyle Pitts 2 years ago. I know a lot of you might be new to this game and you don't remember, and you think Kyle Pitts is some anomaly that has just sprouted from the ground. He's not. TJ Hawkinson was him. Evan Ingram was him before that. And OJ Howard. And David Njoku. Maybe not to the level that some of these guys were, but TJ Hawkinson was the tight end prospect. He can block
top 10
too.
Pick, right?
Yes, number 8. So, I mean, this dude, he was him. And Evan Ingram, well, he's a wide receiver. He's not even a tight end. He should be classified as wide receiver. You heard that this offseason? I bet you have, because that was Evan Ingram 4 years ago or 5 years ago, whenever the hell that guy got into the league. It's tough to be a tight end in this league. Look at the guys that are good. They're not usually top 10 picks for the most part. I mean, these two are sort of the outliers of that. I think OJ Howard was a first-round pick. David Njoku was a first-round pick. Evan Ingram was a first-round pick. They're not Travis Kelce. They're not Darren Waller. They're not George Kittle. They're not any of those guys. Like, sometimes it takes a good situation. You can all be, talented and everything that you want to be. There are a lot of different situations. It's not just talent. That's the thing about every single prospect. You look on Twitter and you look on, their tape and oh, this guy looks so good. They all look fucking good. Like, they're all superhumans that are fast and strong and athletic. Like, what do you want? Of course they look good compared to you. What do you mean? Like, I like every single NFL player, every bump. Like, we made fun of, not Samaje Perine. What's the other guy? LaMichael Perine.
I think it's his cousin, actually. Maybe it's his brother, but I think it's his cousin.
But, like, watch him in a workout. He's gonna look pretty good. Like, if you try to make him look good,
if you see him in your local Gold's Gym,
he's gonna be the
iron,
man.
He's gonna look amazing.
He's gonna be the man. That's
but
what
when
I'm
you're
saying.
surrounded by other super freaks, when you're in Florida, even in the SEC, and you're beating up on those guys, you're still a man amongst boys. But here's my trepidation. You love that word. It's the word of the show.
I do.
My trepidation is he's 20 years old. And I heard this stat the other day. I think it was on the 3 and Out podcast. Only one tight end in the history of the NFL has had 1,000-yard receiving season as a rookie. And his name was Mike Ditka. It was over 50 years ago. Mike Ditka. And this guy, he was a former NFL scout, right? He scouted for the Eagles. He worked with Andy Reid. He's got ties to Sean McDermott. I've mentioned him before. He says that on the offensive side of the ball, obviously the quarterback position is the hardest position to learn in the NFL. The second hardest is the tight end position. And God bless Kyle Pitts and all of his talent. He's 20 years old. He can't even go to Magic City and get the wings that got Lou Williams fired last year from the LA Clippers. He can't even go to Magic City. He's 20 years old. Now, if we're rehaving this conversation in a year or two, and he's 22, soon to be 23, I guarantee it'll be a different conversation. But this is why I had him listed as a quote-unquote sell on the bonus show I did on Wednesday. Because you can't win it all. He's at his peak. It's like investing in Apple right now. Can it go up a little bit? Sure it could, but you're buying at a really, really, really high price. And you know what? I can get something kind of as good, maybe close to as good, and TJ Hawkinson's a really good prospect. And if I can get TJ Hawkinson plus, and I really believe, I truly believe that right now today, I could go to somebody, I could take Kyle Pitts in my 2022 third, and I could walk away with TJ Hawkinson and a 2022 first. I'm going to do that all day. I'm only moving I'm going to a 23-year-old who's been in the league for 2 years. He also has top 10 draft capital, not top 5, not top 4, but top 8 draft capital on his resume, and I'm going to put that extra in my lineup. So this is not an anti-Kyle Pitts thing.
Agreed.
This is an anti-Kyle Pitts. The world has lost their damn mind on his valuation. So Jerry, I didn't want to lose my mind. I couldn't go a week without talking ball with you. That's why we made it happen late on a Thursday night. Thank you to all those who tuned in on Twitter. I hope those of you that are watching after the live show on YouTube enjoy the show. But man, I appreciate you making time. I know you're a busy man.
Listen, I will always make time for this. This is fun. This is
This is
what
my release, man. That's why I
that's
do
what
so
I'm
many. It's so
saying.
much fun.
This is release. That's exactly. It's just fun. It's fun, and it's a week of like. This is my own personal experience, at least. Seeing things on Twitter and just going, shut the hell up. But I don't ever tell them that. I'm a nice, respectable human. Like, mama didn't raise a bully, so I just ignore it. And then I get to hear, and then I can sort of rant about all of the things I see. And I get to do it with a dude who's smart. And, sometimes we argue, we have a good ass time. We
don't
try to
always
make
agree.
people better.
Yeah.
No, hell no.
That's the whole point. Is that's really the thing. We're here to help people. We're here to have fun. I did break my rule today. I said no more arguing with strangers on the internet.
I saw it.
And it was narrative. I got sucked in. It's the first time it's happened in a while too, and I just eventually tapped out. I am all here for healthy discussion on Twitter at DWZ Memphis. But the minute you start bringing up things that I didn't say, and you start, putting words in my mouth or, text in my tweets, then I'm gone. It's peace out at that point. I'm gone. Speaking of gone, let's get out of here. Thank you guys so much. If you rate and review the show, obviously we've been reading them here live on the show. We'll give you a shout out. Like Darren, like the Jimmy Kemp. We'll be more than happy to shout you out like those two good brothers. And support Hate Brand Goods, the HVIII.com / not forward slash, just promo code Memphis, and then patreon.com / Dynasty WarZone. That's that next level support, but we'll certainly take a free 10-second, takes you a second, rating and review over at iTunes. Subscribe on YouTube, and until next time, and in between times, that man's name is Gerald Sinclair. You can follow him at DWZ.
No, you cannot follow me there, but you tried.
It's too late. Time for the old man to go to bed. You can follow that man at Jerry Sin DWZ. You can follow me at DWZ Memphis. You can email the show dynastywarzone at gmail if you're not on social. But thanks for tuning in, guys. Have a great weekend. We'll be back here on Tuesday with a little mock draft live on Sleeper with the boys from the FF SmackDown. Be there.